The first thing I want to talk about today is the Pittsburgh Steelers roster. I hear a lot of noise. I heard DK from DK Sports say, well, he didn't really say if he thinks we're better, if we're not better, if we are better. He just said something to the effect, well, just because a player like Michael Pittman Jr. came from the Indianapolis Colts doesn't mean that his production is going to carry over. The same thing with Rico Dowdle. And fine, I understand the season hasn't started yet. And I understand analytics. But here's the problem with what he's saying. First, let's look at the offense. Let's go, even though there are certain players, nothing changed. Let's just go down the entire offense. Broderick Jones, left tackle. I never was a fan of Broderick. Troy Fontano, obviously now is the left tackle. Isaac Seumalo, left guard. Mason McCormick is obviously now the left guard. I think that in both of those positions is an upgrade. I think Isaac Seumalo, even though I like the player, think he's getting older, injury prone. I think we upgraded there. Zach Frazier, obviously the center. I'll leave that alone. So now on the right side, you have Spencer Anderson. So now at right tackle, we have Dylan Cook, and at right guard, we have Spencer Anderson. Do I think that's an upgrade? Yes, I do think that's an upgrade. I'm not just hoping for the best. I think both of these players can play. I think this slide makes the offensive line better. And then you look at our backups. We have depth. We have a lot better depth now than we did in 2025. Right guard, Brock Hoffman. Right tackle, Max. I always say Max Inhiker. I could be wrong. I hear DK from DK Sports pronounce it Max Inhiker, Inhiker or something like that. I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, but I'll stick with Max Inhiker because it's just what I do for now. I'll get it right eventually. But then you have Broderick Jones as a backup, as a swing backup. I think overall our offensive line is a million times better night and day. I think we're a million times better on the offensive line. I don't even think it's close compared to last year. That's my opinion. I truly believe that 100%. Now, when we go to our running back position, now I'm going to get a little more into statistics. I heard DK from DK Sports. He was talking about the loss of our MVP Kenneth Gainwell. Well, Kenneth Gainwell, last year for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he had 537 rushing yards in total on 114 attempts. He averaged 4.7 yards a carry. He had 540 receiving yards, on 73 catches. Now, when you look at what Rico Dowdle brings to the running back position, he had 236 carries last year alone by himself, double the amount that Kenneth Gainwell had, for 1,076 yards, 297 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns, and 4.6 yards a carry. In total last year, Kenneth Gainwell also had 7 touchdowns, 3 receiving, 4 running. But when you look at these numbers, it's obvious that Rico Dowdle had a much better productive season than Gainwell. And here's another problem I have with Gainwell. Gainwell was a check down Charlie for Aaron Rodgers because the Pittsburgh Steelers had nobody to throw the ball to. We didn't have a number 2 receiver. We had, we had DK Metcalf and then Calvin Austin III, who should be a 3rd receiver, a 4th receiver on any other team. And I'm going to get to that right now. That's my next position group I'm going to get to. I just think it's undeniable how much better the Steelers are at the wide receiver position. Last year, we had Metcalf, Calvin Austin III, Robert Woods, and Scotty Miller. And you really want me to believe that the Steelers didn't upgrade their wide receiver room this year? You don't think we're better? I don't understand that. Again, Metcalf was 1. Calvin Austin III was the number 2. Robert Woods, who's 100 years old, and Scotty Miller. Those were our receivers last year. This year, obviously DK Metcalf, we have him back. Pittman Jr. last year, he had 80 receptions for 110 yards and 7 touchdowns. Excuse me, 80 for 110. What am I saying? Pittman Jr. had 80 receptions for, let me look up the number. Let me look up his stats because I can't read my handwriting. So let me get that right. Michael Pittman Jr.'s stats last year. Sorry about that. I was writing on envelopes. I ran out of a notebook, and you saw what happened. Couldn't remember Dylan Cook's name for some reason. Give me a second. Okay. In 2025, Michael Pittman Jr. had 80 receptions, 784 yards for 7 touchdowns. He averaged 9.8 yards per reception. Then you look at what Calvin Austin II did. Calvin Austin III. I have him down here as the second receiver. Calvin Austin III, his receptions, 31 receptions. 31 receptions. Michael Pittman Jr. pretty much triples his receptions for 372 yards and 3 touchdowns. And you want me to believe that Michael Pittman Jr. is not an upgrade over Calvin Austin III. Never mind Jeremy Bernard, never mind Skronik, never mind Weechin. We are much better at wide receiver. It's not even close. To say that we're not going to have better production out of these position groups, along with better it's going to be night and day coaching, better coaching. It's not even comparable. Not even comparable. A sense of urgency, detail, knowing everybody on the same page, everybody knows what they're going to do. I don't see how anybody in their right mind, it's not like, oh, I'm wishing on a star, or I point my finger and say they're just automatically better. I don't see how anybody looks at this roster and doesn't automatically say to themselves on the offensive side of the ball, we'll get to the defense, and doesn't automatically say to themselves that the Steelers are better. It's not even close how much better we are right now than we were last year. Let's go to the tight end position. For some reason, Jono Smith, in the beginning, I felt that Pat Freiermuth, he dropped a couple balls in bad times. He put himself in the doghouse a bit. Then as the season went on and you saw what was happening, it was obvious, Alec, it was obvious that the offensive coordinator, oh man, my memory today, is completely in love with Jono Smith. Arthur Smith was completely in love with Jono Smith. Completely. There's like literally the dude was in love with him. Jono Smith statistically was the worst tight end to ever play in the NFL. They did some, they crunched some numbers, and statistically speaking, Jono Smith was the worst tight end to ever play in the NFL last year. And Pat Freiermuth is sitting on the bench. I don't think that had anything to do with Pat Freiermuth. Nothing. I don't think it had anything to do with his ability whatsoever. I think that Arthur Smith, his preference was Jono Smith for whatever the reason, it doesn't matter. So automatically, we are better at the tight end position because Pat Freiermuth, for the most part, is going to start along with Darnell Washington. So Jono Smith is totally out of the picture, thank God. So how did we not improve at tight end? Connor Hayward was switched out for Riley Nokowski. I don't think Connor Hayward did much. I think Riley Nokowski is going to be an upgrade. You're going to be like, you didn't see him play one down yet. I have faith in the scouting department and what Mike McCarthy sees that Riley Nokowski is going to be 1,000 times better player than Connor Hayward. Obviously, a bigger, much more physical looking player. He really looks the part. Then you look at our quarterback position. Last year, it was Rodgers, Rudolph. I mean, that's pretty much, we have Rodgers, Rudolph, Will Howard, Drew Aller. Do I think we're better at the quarterback position? Yes, I do. Pretty much just because of the coaching. Aaron Rodgers is already saying a lot of the stuff that they're doing now, they've already did in Green Bay. So I expect a much, much better offense. And it's not just, excuse me, it's not just me hoping. It's not just me hoping for a better offense. It's not just me hoping for a better team. or just saying it because it's an opinion? I mean, look at the roster. Calvin Austin is a 5'6" receiver. Fine, he runs a 4.3. He misses 3 games every year. He's easily a 3 or a 4 on every single team. So we upgraded that position with a player who had triple the amount of production, who also is 6'5". I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. No-brainer. Then Jeremy Bernard, Roman Wilson, what's ever going to go on there? I'm sure sooner than later, Jeremy Bernard will be the starter, probably week 2 or 3. Maybe the Steelers will just eliminate a slot receiver and play more tight ends until they figure out what's going to go on there. But looking at this roster, every position for the Pittsburgh Steelers, we are a better team. Rico Dowdle is a better running back than Kenneth Gainwell. Again, why did Gainwell get so many receptions last year? Because the Steelers couldn't throw the ball downfield. He was check down Charlie. He got 73 receptions. Well, that's what happens when you run DK Metcalf deep every play, and maybe another is you just run him deep, and the running back gets out of the backfield and matches up on the linebacker. He's supposed to make the catch. Do I think he's a better running back than Rico Dowdle? Statistically, no. Was he a very good player? Yes. Do I think we upgraded from a pure running back standpoint in position? Absolutely. I don't even think it's close. Not to mention, Rico Dowdle had 297 receiving yards himself. He averaged almost 5 yards a carry. So this whole notion that the Steelers got worse because they let Kenneth Gainwell, sign somewhere else in free agency and he was their MVP, I just think that's ridiculous. Fine, he performed. But why was he getting all those balls? Again, check downs, because the Steelers couldn't throw the ball downfield at all. So I'm going to move on from the offense. And also look at our offensive line depth. Jennings Dunker, left guard. Right guard, Brock Hoffman. Right tackle, our rookie, Inhiker. Enachor, I should say. And Broderick Jones is also backing up Fontana. So not only did we get better at every position, we have depth. We should have better depth. And again, I know we haven't played one snap in the preseason or the real season, but I'm not just saying this to sound interesting. I really believe the Steelers are night and day better this year than they were last year. I don't even think it's close. I really don't. Let me move on to the defensive side of the football. Sorry about that brain freeze, Dylan Cook and I don't know what was going on there. Spencer Anderson. So let's look at our defense. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, let's go down the list. First, we got Cam Hayward staying put. Keanu Benton is staying put, but this year, Keanu Benton is being backed up by Sebastian Joseph Day. I also think Y.A. Black should be there instead of, at defensive tackle. I have no clue why the Steelers have Y.A. Black penciled in at backup defensive tackle. I just don't understand what you're seeing there. I really don't get it. But anyway, nothing really changed. Derek Harmon, same spot. Alex Highsmith backed up by Jack Sawyer. Nothing changed. Peyton Wilson backed up by Malik Harrison. Nothing changed. Patrick Queen backed up by Cole Holcomb. Nothing really changed. J.J. Watt, Nick Herbig. We know the deal. Now, this is where things get very interesting for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Very, very interesting. This is my whole point on the defensive side of the ball. Our cornerback position, Joey Porter Jr., he's backed up by Dalen Everett. Last year, okay, Joey Porter Jr. was there, so excuse me. Let's go to the other cornerback slot. Last year, our left cornerback starting the season was Darius Slay, who was 100 years old. He was getting beat on every single play, just getting manhandled. And we replaced it with Jamal Dean. And you still just that one change in the defense, you don't expect the defense to be better. Like I don't get this overthinking. It's not like I'm wishing on a star or I want them to be good. I don't get it. Like, how could you sit there with a straight face and be like, oh, the defense, didn't improve drastically, going from Darius Slay to Jamal Dean. Let's move on. Last year, free safety, Juan Thornhill and Miles Killebrew. Horrible. Just terrible. Like, just horrible. Let me say those two names again. Juan Thornhill and Miles Killebrew. This year, the free safety, Jaquan Brisker, Robert Spears Jennings. Major upgrade. Matter of fact, Jaquan Brisker could be the free agent surprise signing for the whole National Football League. If you look at his numbers in Chicago, he had a great year. How did we not get better? Explain it to me. How did we not get better? Nickelback, Jalen Ramsey. I don't like that. I think Jalen Ramsey should be at the free safety spot. I don't think he should be the nickelback at all. I think Jalen Ramsey needs to be at free safety. That's a different video. But then you have, look who's backing up Jalen Ramsey this year. Brandon Echols is backing him up. You also have Asante Samuel Jr. So last year, Jalen Ramsey was being backed up by Beanie Bishop. Tough, gritty player, had some picks, whatever. But, or you know what? He was cut. So what am I talking about? So the name gets worse. The drop off gets even worse. I don't think he was. Yeah, he was cut, or maybe he was on the practice squad. I don't know. But the name that I have written down is Beanie Bishop was his backup. So when you look at when you look at our backups on defense, Brandon Echols, Asante Samuel Jr., Dalen Everett, along with our starters, are you really going to sit there and try to tell me that our secondary didn't improve drastically? I'm just really confused. Punt returner, kick returner. Obviously, we have a specialist now in Weechin, so we're just going to have to see how it goes. But I'm really tired of hearing that the Steelers did not get better. I'm really tired of hearing it. I just don't see how you look at our roster and you look at the players that we have backing up our starters, and you say to yourself, I'm going to look at what Vegas says or this article or that article when clearly we're a better team. Clearly, night and day. It's not even close how much better we are. When I looked at it, I forgot last year that our starting safeties penciled in was Juan Thornhill and Miles Killebrew. Free safety. Our free safety last year was Juan Thornhill and Miles Killebrew. Now, fine, we all know that Jalen Ramsey got moved back there. Was that the plan? I doubt it, but Jalen Ramsey's production fell off a bit. And, our corner, it just, okay, let me just stick to the positive. Do I think we're better? Absolutely. I don't even think it's close. So I'm just going to leave it at that. We are a much better team offensively, defensively, our depth, we have a return specialist, a punt return specialist. You don't have to put Jalen Warren on the field. He might be tired. He might be fatigued. He might be banged up. You have a specific player designated for that role. No brainer that the Pittsburgh Steelers are better.